I've practically switched to the S23 Ultra full time, and yes, normally I'm a massive Apple fanboy. So what's gone wrong? The S22 Ultra was one of the most expensive, disappointing smartphones I bought last year, but things have changed in 2023 because the S23 Ultra finally comes with the proper chip no matter where you buy it. More importantly, and like so many Android phones I get to try these days, the S23 Ultra really has opened my eyes to what the iPhone should be capable of. And in this video, I'll show you 5 things that the S23 Ultra does better than the iPhone. If you are an iPhone user, I think you'll love today's sponsor, which is Casekoo and their fantastic Magic Stand case for the iPhone. This case features a groundbreaking magnetic kickstand design that only adds 2mm to your iPhone. It's also got this fantastic little kickstand built into it, hence the name, which is super strong and built for more than 30,000 openings. That stand can be adjusted from 40 to 120 degrees, which makes it perfect for watching YouTube, monitoring your workout, learning the guitar, basically anything where you need to put your phone down and not touch it. You don't know you need one of these on the back of your iPhone until you get one. There's even a 48-piece magnet system built into this, which means yes, it is still compatible with all of your MagSafe accessories. Casekoo uses what they call an invisible design, which isn't literally invisible, obviously, as you can see, thankfully, but it does add very little weight or bulk to your iPhone, which is a really important factor. There's a whole bunch of colours, including this kind of off-white version here. There's a clear version. There's a purple one, which goes perfectly with your deep purple iPhone. But the best news is, if you fancy one of these Casekoo cases, which I really recommend, check out the link in my description and get 10% off. The first lesson that the S23 Ultra teaches the iPhone is that pricing shouldn't be prohibitive. Now don't get me wrong, these are two very expensive smartphones. If you spec both of them up, you're knocking on the door of £2,000 for a portable telephone. However, Samsung does continue to be incredibly generous when it comes to their trade-in offers, so I got this for £649, I think. That was after trading in my old S22 Ultra, which they gave me 600 quid for. And on top of that, you'll often get online-only discounts, and they'll throw things in, so you can occasionally get a free pair of Galaxy Buds, or even quite a big discount on a Samsung laptop. Now those offers come and go, I can't guarantee any of them, obviously, but what I can pretty much guarantee is that they will give you a very good price for your old phone. Whereas by comparison, Apple is just a little bit, I don't know, they're a little bit mean when it comes to their trade-in values. They don't tend to give you much for your old phones. It's just the way that Samsung treats the trade-in process and those extra special offers that makes the process of buying these very expensive phones much easier on the wallet. The second thing that the S23 Ultra can teach the iPhone is that fingerprint readers should still be a thing. I know you can't see it there, but there is a fingerprint reader under the screen on this phone. It doesn't impact the display, it's really fast. I find myself using it more than the facial recognition. It's just a much more tactile way to get into your phone. And yes, there's an argument that it's less secure, although I don't know the details of that technically, so I won't go into that. A lot of people don't get my desire for this, but I don't know, I can't really explain it. I just like using that fingerprint reader, and Apple's insistence on keeping all the kind of Face ID sensors and cameras and things at the top of the screen does result in this great big monkey island that we get at the top of it, and well, I'll come on to that actually, but yeah, I just wish we had a fingerprint reader on the iPhone. Apple, please bring back Touch ID. There are two groups of people that I have regular run-ins with on YouTube. The first one is headphone people who are frightening. The second one are the S Pen Massive, as I call them. And my word, do they have a chip or stylus on their shoulder. Because if you dare say anything against this thing and they're watching, they come down on you like a ton of bricks. I don't really care though, because the S Pen still remains a bit of a gimmick for me personally. That said, I understand why other people like it. I spent the weekend at my sister's and her daughter loved playing with this. So kids, I think that's a great, well in fact, would you give your kid an S23 Ultra? Probably not, but if you've got a kid and you've got one of these phones, it does keep them quiet. But despite my misgivings for the S Pen, it is marginally interesting, and more importantly, when it comes to the S23 Ultra versus the iPhone, this has got a stylus, so if you want to use it as a note-taking thing, you can. And yes, it does loads more than take notes, so if you really want to dig into what the S Pen can do, it's a nice little addition, which you don't pay any more for. Will Apple ever release an iPhone with a stylus? I really doubt it, but I wish they would. See, S Pen people? I bet you never thought I'd say that. I mentioned earlier that the Dynamic Island, or Monkey Island as I hilariously keep referring to it, is a bit of an issue on the iPhone. It's, again, a little bit like the S Pen. It's marginally interesting, but it's a bit pointless. And this is exacerbated by the fact that Apple and most other third-party developers haven't done much with it. By comparison, on the S23 Ultra, we have this little pinhole selfie camera at the top, which works perfectly. It takes great photos, it's got fantastic facial recognition, and more importantly, as I'll come on to next, it doesn't take up much of the screen. And tellingly, I would swap Monkey Island for a pinhole camera tomorrow. The last thing that the S23 Ultra can teach the iPhone 14 Pro, in fact all of the iPhones to be fair, is that the iPhone doesn't have the best display. If you've never experienced the display on an S series Samsung device, you've got to check it out. They are, I think, the best displays on the market, which is quite ironic when you consider that Samsung supplies the displays for the iPhone. The S23 Ultra is slightly sharper, it's got a slightly higher resolution, but it does go beyond the screen quality. It's the size of this display that is so impressive. And once again, it's not that much bigger than the iPhone. It's slightly taller. I'm going to say it again, it comes down to the top of the screen, mainly. So it's that great big Monkey Island that we get here, and it's the little pinhole camera that we get there, and also the bezels on the S23 Ultra are smaller than the iPhone, so basically it gives you a much more expansive display. And to be totally honest, one of the main reasons I enjoy using this phone more than this phone is because the S23 Ultra has a better screen. There's a bit of an in-joke rolling around tech YouTube at the moment where people like myself will publish a video called iPhone user switches to the S23 Ultra and as a result gets loads of engagement. However, I'm not switching to the S23 Ultra full time. I can't do. I'm an Apple guy. I rely on things like continuity and all the kind of Apple ecosystem stuff that keeps me welded to the iPhone. It's just that, well, that's how they get you, basically. So realistically, I can't switch to this phone full time. Like most tech reviewers, I take both of these phones pretty much everywhere, although recently it's been the S23 Ultra that has been the only phone in my pocket. I just find myself using the S23 Ultra far more than the iPhone, and that is a huge turning point. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts about these two phones and see a proper camera battle between them, keep watching for a link to my full comparison video.